Oh, hey there. How's it going? Listen, I know that the world is completely turned upside down right now, and there's a lot of fear and panic and confusion. And I completely, if you're feeling that right now, I completely empathize. I know what it's like to be in this state. I've been experiencing a little bit of it myself. But I've been really thinking about all the things I've been doing in the last 10 years, and I realized in some way I've been kind of training and preparing for this. Not in like a negative doomsday way, but like I've been learning how to cook all my own food, how to preserve, how to ferment, how to eat cheaply, how to grow food, also how to take care of my health, how to stay healthy, how to be outside in nature, how to create connection, all the things that I'm starting to see are so important. You know, when we're kind of forced to be inside and kind of go inward and think about like what really matters, a lot of the basic things in life matter. A lot of the other things and the concerts and the parties and the events, yeah, they're fun and they're bonus, but right now we can't experience them. And it's like just getting back to what's important. And a huge piece of that is taking care of yourself. To me, food is medicine. When we eat with good intention, when we cook with love and good ingredients, we actually get to feel good. And I don't want to intimidate anybody. If you can't afford certain ingredients, or you know, maybe you want to get something but you can't get it organic or whatever it is, like do the best with what you have. Don't get too overwhelmed. Buy the best ingredients for your situation. You know, and if that means, to me, it's like I'd rather buy good quality meat, a little bit of it, than get a lot of cheap meat. But again, whatever works for you, you have to find a balance. You know, this really comes down to knowing thyself. And a big piece of this is figuring out ways to spend time at home and cook food for the week. So I wanted to do a video today that is all really about helping you get a better sense of like, how do I prepare food for the week? Let's say you have a family or you just don't want to be cooking all the time. How can I prep things to make cooking really easily? Many years ago I did a video called like how to make amazing meals in 5 minutes. And it's kind of based on the same concept. You're prepping some things, you're getting some different things ready, you have fresh ingredients, you have cooked stuff, and then when it comes to making meals, after you've spent, you know, a couple hours on a Sunday, throughout the week you can just whip up really quick and delicious stuff. So I've got some tofu back here. I think I got a little bit mashed up. It's okay, it's kind of a tofu fried scramble thing going on. Actually, I haven't really been eating much meat, hardly at all. I eat some chicken and fish. I haven't eaten red meat in a long time. But again, to me, it's just about knowing my body. My body kind of tells me what I want and what I need. And one of the sanest ways to stay chill, and one of the ways to stay sane in this time, is to just kind of go back to cooking and what matters. So first off, what do I do for the week? So I like to always make a couple batch things. So one thing that the roommate and I made the other day was this chili. And it just a veggie chili. It had beans. We used canned beans, canned tomato sauce, but then we had potatoes, we had fresh carrots, some frozen corn. This is kind of utilizing fresh things, frozen things, and whatnot. I'd always say, for the most part, look and see what you have fresh right now and use that first. You can store the stuff, like I did another video about preserving stuff. You can be storing things in the freezer and canning stuff. Try to focus more on the fresh stuff and then use canning as you need it. So like having beans will go a long way. So this is just like a really hearty, kind of protein-filled thing. And I can use this just as chili. I can put it over rice, or I can make like chili tofu tacos. I actually made this sauce. This is a cashew cheese sauce. It's freaking amazing. I'm not gonna do recipes for everything. I'm just here to give you ideas. If you wanna get more specific recipes, get in the kitchen and have some fun, or look up some recipes yourself. And of course I have a ton of videos. And I should say, I just put a book out. Extremely excited about, called Conversations with Your Best Friend. And it's only, for Kindle, it's like $3.31, same with PDF. And if you buy it, you get free access to every cooking video I've ever made. All the ones that are not online anymore, I have this whole library. So if you get the book for $3.31, you get free lifetime access to all the videos I've ever made that have recipes like this. So click the link below to check that out. But this sauce, just to give you a little tip, so cashews, nutritional yeast, red pepper, chili vinegar, cumin, I use a couple different spices, cilantro, lime, and olive oil, a few other things, and it is so good. I mean, oh, also sweet potato. Yeah, look at that. You seeing that? That texture? Too good. So, I always make a couple sauces. What I like to always have in my fridge, a few sauces, something like this. I also have sort of like a hoisin that I made last night with some soy and brown sugar and this homemade miso paste I have, and sesame oil and 5-spice powder and rice vinegar. That's awesome. I always like to have some fermented stuff, so cabbage, salt. A few days later, it turns into delicious sauerkraut. It takes about 5 days to a week. Sauerkraut, and as it sits in the fridge, it gets better and better. I always have my sauerkraut. That's just like a nice probiotic boost to have. And then I take things like I roast sweet potatoes. So sweet potatoes are great. You can just roast them really easily, and you can get them super fork tender, or I like mine a little bit firm. That way it gives me, instead of like making them mashed, I like to have some of that texture. They can still just be eaten like this. But also if I want to cook them more, I can get some sort of mash, but I like to have the texture because then I can fry them up. I can make french fries out of these. I can just, honestly, I just eat them kind of straight up with some sauce. They're delicious. Got another sweet potato here. I think what I'm gonna do is throw these mushrooms into my tofu. A little tip with, I mean, I already have my tofu in there, but with mushrooms, if you add a little bit of water while they're cooking, it'll kind of break the mushrooms down, and then when you and then once the water evaporates, the mushrooms broken down, it will saute easily. If you just add mushrooms right to a pan and you saute them, you're gonna just use so much oil because the mushrooms are like a sponge, you know. But the water kind of gives you a nice little help there. Yeah, so when it comes to things like protein, tofu I enjoy. Beans are great, whatever you need to get. So the next piece of this kind of preparing for the week, and again, if you have a family, it's gonna be different than if you're a single person. I hear this a lot. People are like, well, I like to cook, but not for one. Well, if you're kind of quarantined at home by yourself right now, you're gonna have to be cooking for one. But making batch meals is a great way to do that. And maybe finding a way to deliver a meal to a friend or something, or maybe you can have a friend over. It depends, of course, on what situation you're in right now. But making batch food is great. So like with this chili, we actually have like 3 of these. I made a big batch of chili with 3 or 4 of these. I kept 2 of them fresh, I froze 2 of them. If you notice that you made something and you're not eating it, just throw it in the freezer. If like after a few days you're like, I'm kind of sick of that leftover, put it in the freezer, and then, you know, a couple weeks later when you're needing something, you can pull it out. Okay, so next thing, I've always had a dream of kind of having a kitchen that was like a salad bar. And you know what it's like, you go into a place that has a salad bar and it has all the things already prepped out and you get to choose your salad and make everything fast. That to me is one of the best ways to eat. So yes, I have something like a veggie chili. I also have this fried rice right here, which is some leftover rice that I had from basmati. I've got some corn, some peas, some carrots. You can throw egg in there. I have a nice sauce in there. Of course, again, a mixture of different things that I have. That's great. However, I find that having things prepped out in the fridge, you don't have to do huge batches of this, but spend part of your time on Sunday, whatever the day is, cut up things like cabbage. You know, see the cabbage? Cabbage here. Cucumber, great. Will last, and you'll learn. Cucumber might last you 3 to 5 days fresh. Onions might last a little bit longer. I have my onions here. Broccoli. I mentioned this before in another video. Cutting broccoli, first off. I like to cut it off at the stem, but I don't waste this. What I do, take the broccoli. You can kind of, if you have a peeler, you can use a peeler, or you can kind of just carefully, you know, shave it down. You know, a little shave. You know, a little shave. So you can go like that if you don't have a peeler. If you do have a peeler, well, duh. Where's my peeler? Let's see. Where? I think I know where it is. Is it up here? Where's my peeler? Where's my peeler go? I guess I don't have a peeler currently. That's great. I definitely have a peeler though. Oh, no. That's great. Anyhow, peel this off like so. It's actually fun learning to use your knife. You know, what's really one of my favorite things about when I went to Vietnam is people I was cooking with, these women, they're trained, like they barely ever use a cutting board. They pretty much, I mean, they have a smaller knife, like paring knife, whatever, but they've trained to cut pretty much everything in their hands, and it's really cool. It's just like super, and they take their time with every ingredient. You know, another piece about prepping and cooking and kind of being in this space is we do have time. I promise you have time right now to kind of go inward and focus on the things that matter. And if cooking is important to you, taking care of your health is important to you, spend time in the kitchen. Don't rush through things. You might have much more hours than you're used to. And you can just use cooking as a meditation. I can just sit here cutting broccoli. I'm not trying to rush through it. I'm not trying to get it done. I'm just doing it and being present in the moment. You can taste, good little taste. My words aren't coming out correctly today. Another dimension. You ever have like kohlrabi? Stir fry this, eat it fresh. Broccoli, what I like to do is break it into these little florets. instead of having it just raw in the fridge, I'll actually just do like a really quick pan steam fry. I'll show you. How are we doing over here? I'm gonna move you guys. Come on, hang out with me over here. Oh, that's cool. Look at that. Whoa. This thing is epic. So I've got my sort of tofu mushroom extravaganza in here. This is just like to get, to me it's some protein but also the texture that I like to have in different dishes. So the broccoli, put the pan on. So I like to have a bottle here of water. It's just a great way to like steam things. If something gets too hot, you can give it a little, you know. Okay, so what I like to do is get this hot, throw some broccoli in there, chopsticks. So with the broccoli, what I do is I just have just enough water in here. You don't even need to do a full steam, because as the steam evaporates, it kind of just lightly cooks the broccoli. And you can either just keep this just at a basic steam, or sometimes I'll just add some oil, maybe some garlic. Honestly, a little bit of olive oil, or like avocado oil, some garlic and red peppers and broccoli sauteed. Don't even get me started. So good. Some fresh garlic. You might as well even just kind of mash the garlic up. I don't feel like dicing it. Just kind of get it in there, and that will sort of infuse with everything in the oil. What I'm doing is I'm playing, I'm having fun. I'm not overthinking. I'm being present with the food. I'm kind of thinking about like what the food is calling for. What does it want? I look at the ingredients that I have that are fresh. I'm like, what do they want? What do they need right now? And I add stuff, and I'm not just using fresh stuff. I'm also using some dried, but I'm not sitting here relying on those things because I know that if in a couple weeks, for whatever reason, I can't get fresh stuff, well, at least I used it well, you know? It's like, you have fresh apple right now, don't be eating dehydrated apple, you're eating fresh apple. And if you need the dehydrated stuff, dehydrated, see, I really can't speak. Okay, that's looking good. A little crushed red pepper. And another thing to keep in mind is like, this, wow. This is not obviously bulk cooking. I'm not trying to show you all the things that I'm making right now, just trying to give you ideas. So you can obviously make a much bigger, open the window. Having this window here is really amazing. You can make a lot more broccoli. That being said, if I have a little bit of broccoli and I have rice and things like that, a lot of countries where they don't have as much, that's I think one of the reasons why curries can be really popular, because you can have a lot of rice, which is a lot of bulk stuff. Make a big batch of rice and then make a really flavorful curry. You don't need that much because the rice will kind of fill you up. Look at this. Get all that scrapey bits, that's actually the good stuff. My broccoli is done. Looking good. Okay, let's go back. Yeah, you seen this? Have you heard about this? I gotta try. Broccoli cooked correctly. I mean, it almost doesn't make sense how good it is. Makes sense, but almost doesn't. The tofu's done. Now I have a nice little thing of protein. I've got the fried rice, the things, the onions. If I want, I make a lot of stir fries. And that's why I like having different ingredients prepped, even cucumber. If you're starting to notice that this has been, I think for like 5 days now, starting to break down, cook this. You know what, it's good. Throw them right in, you're going in here guys. That's what I'm saying, like, what does this thing want? Go in. Going into the tofu mixture. The cucumber is already starting to break down. Why not just start to cook it, you know? So if you find that you have stuff that needs to go, okay, cook it. Or a lot of times you'll see this, people will buy stuff, especially in this time preserving food, you'll see something that has like blemishes. Cut the blemishes off. Even avocados, brown spots, take the brown spots off. Bread, if you buy bread and it gets a little bit moldy, just take the mold off. It's fine, you're gonna be totally fine. Don't waste. We have this tendency, especially in America, to just like, the second something's messed up, we just throw it out. I was thinking yesterday, sort of thinking to the potential future, and I had this vision. I was like, what if, for a while, things just like, what if we stopped like production of things that aren't necessary for a while? What if like all the technology in the world, you know, like people buy phones and a year later there's a new phone that comes out, that's the better phone, that's the faster phone, that's got the upgraded camera. But we're just upgrading for what reason? It's marketing, it's selling, it's just trying to get us to buy the newest thing and to keep us, you know, in the trend or whatever the thing is. But do we really need those things? And are they really good? Are they, you know, when we buy a new phone and we throw the old one out and that goes to waste, it's like, what if the things that didn't really matter we just paused on and we focused on what's important? Like growing food and having good fresh food and shelter and water and the things people need to stay healthy, right? We use what we have. We say, okay, I've got this camera, this phone, I'm gonna use it for as long as it's gonna work. I'm not just gonna buy the new one because I need it or whatever it is. And if you have, that's fine. I'm just saying, I was just thinking about the future. What if that's a big shift that happens? Because so many resources in the world are wasted. Why? What is wrong with my speaking? So many resources in the world are wasted because people want the newest thing, and a lot of it is just selling us why we need this new thing and this new technology. So it's really cool to be, even amongst all the crazy and the bad things going on, it's been fascinating for me to actually think about what I really need to survive and what really matters, and only spending money on those things. So I spent money on food, and I spent money on food, and I spent money on food and food and food, and of course there are other things as well, but that was a huge piece, things surrounding food and being careful, taking care of myself. I also spent money on more food, which was in the form of seeds. So I'm growing more microgreens and starting to seed things very soon. You know, as the spring comes around, to be able to grow my own food. You can, if you're quarantined right now and you have a little yard or a window or something, there's so many creative ways to grow food. All you need is a little bit of soil. Even if you don't have trays and seeds, you can get seeds very easily. You can buy fresh produce and use the seeds. You can grow, you know, garlic from garlic. You can grow potatoes from potatoes. Like, there's so many things that can happen. So I do hope that you use this time to go inward, to think for yourself. Again, if you want to check out the book that I wrote, it's a lot about that. It's about looking at the fears that you have so you can actually exist beyond the fears. Because I feel like we're in this state right now where people are just panicking and they're worried, and every day there's new news coming out and no one knows what to do or think, and it's like, you need to be your own governor in some regard. Find good information, find good sources, filter it through your own lens though. Don't just say, okay, I just saw some headline and start freaking out. It's like, be educated. Yeah, things are changing right now. And I feel very prepared. That's why I want to share these videos, because I actually feel prepared. All the things I've been working on, training, even fasting. You know, I feel confident that if I couldn't eat for 14 days, that I'd be fine. You know what I mean? It's like, because I've been training for this. I've been training my body to be able to be out in the cold and to not give into fear and all of these things, to be able to be present in the face of fear. And I know that this is possible for anyone, but it starts with thinking for yourself and going inward and using this time not to just like check out and binge watch some shows, but actually to think about what really matters. You know, maybe you lost your job, and I'm sorry that that happened if that's the case, and that sucks. One of my main and really only employee, and she's only part-time right now, she just lost her main job, and it's like, and that sucks. However, I know that there's a bigger plan to all this. I know there's something much more important and greater going on in the world, and if we can actually look into that, there is clarity. And remember, you have friends and you have family and you have community. Even if that's me or people that you've met online or in person or your family, whatever the situation is, there are people that want to help you. So remember that you're not alone in this. And if you think you're alone, we're missing the whole point of this whole thing. This is the first time, it almost feels like this is the first time the world has all kind of experienced the same thing together. And we're no longer worried about, you know, fighting each other and who's the best and who's the most dominant. We're focusing on like survival, you know, which is kind of the way things have always been before all this, like, this idea of whatever government, democracy and stuff. And I think it's the reminder of like, hey, we're all in this together. We need to look out for each other, and the people that need help and support, we can give that to them. I feel extremely grateful and privileged to be in the position that I'm in right now, but only because I can share it. That's it. It's not for me. When I look back, I'm like, why did I do all these things? Like when I was writing the book, I'm like, why did my life turn out the way it turned out? Why did I have all these really rough and tough and horrible things happen, and things I had to grow from and learn, and depression and loss of friends and stuff? It was so that I could share it with y'all and put you, you know, at some sense of ease, to show you that you're not alone and that these things are possible. So take a deep breath. Get in the kitchen, be present with the food. It will teach you so much. Nature, food, to me, it's my greatest teacher. It knows what it needs. It's taking care of things. It takes care of, we don't have to take care of nature. It has to take care of us, you know, and we have to take care of ourselves a little bit. And then everything kind of goes back into harmony. So, yeah, it's been great hanging out with you, and much more to come. Love you very much. Peace.